It's my honor. I feel very honored to be here, invited again. I had a great time meeting some of you last year. And this year, the topic is if someone you know, someone in your family is going through a divorce, what are the first steps you can do very early on in the process that can make a significant difference? My presentation is going to move fairly fast because there's a lot of topics to cover, so it's not for you to retain all of the information, but it's to get a flavor of what are some of the issues that come up for people that do separate and how you can, whether you're an advisor, working with someone who's divorcing, or if you're a family member, supporting them through family support or personal strategies. So there's many ways of supporting someone that's going through a divorce, and hopefully some of these strategies will resonate with you and you'll be able to shine some light on a particular behavior that's helpful or not helpful, and hopefully help the person to be steered in the right direction. So I love lists, top 10. So this is a top 10 list of things that might come up and what are the best strategies or the best practices for how to be in those circumstances. So the first one is personal well-being. So invest heavily in acquiring new skills. What I mean by that is a lot of people that I meet in my practice say, oh, I don't have time, I'm busy. I'm going to take this course that you're suggesting after everything is done. Well, that's the wrong thing to do because you need new skills right now. They're going to be subjected to, I was going to say torture, but that's hard. You're going to be subjected to really, really harsh circumstances. You probably don't have very good communication skills to deal with your ex. You're going to need new communication skills. You're going to need to have time challenge skills. You're going to need to have coping skills because it's going to be tough. You won't be seeing your kids in the same fashion as before. It's going to be very demanding on you. So the time to equip yourself with new tools and new strategies is now. For children, best practices include getting help for them if they're of the age. Getting there for them can be a personal counselor or group therapy, which is very popular. Group therapy is awesome in some ways because it kind of normalizes the weird things that are going on in the person's family. There's a lot of really, really good services out there. Some kids are not open to group therapy or even personal therapy, so you can't force them, but at least if the offering is there, maybe one day they will take you up on your suggestion. And as well, when someone is separating and there's children involved, they're going to need to get some help to build the best possible parenting plan moving forward. You know, it's challenging enough to be a parent in a normal family, but it's even more challenging when the family is separating and no one knows how to do it. No one knows how to set up the upcoming holiday or the birthday celebration or the family event, the traditions. How do you organize that when there's a separation? It's very, very complex. So get the best help available and do it right. Don't try to skim through it because you think you know how to do it. I'm here to tell you people don't know how to do it and they need help. Family residence, who continues to live there? That's a very difficult issue because, of course, the kids are there, the schools, and the family support sometimes is built around it. So best practice would be try to work together really early on to plan ahead of what's going to happen. And if there's a lot of tension in the family, we often bring in the issue of a nesting order. A nesting order is when the children are residing in the house and the parents move in and out. And they rent an apartment or they go to live with other relatives. So some lawyers inform their clients that they should not move out without a written agreement or a court order, because there are serious consequences if you move out and the other person is in charge of the children and you're not. It gives them a straight advantage and it really places you in an awkward position in the negotiation. So it's not like it's not like we don't know that you need to be strategic, But if there's a way of being courteous to the other person and build a plan together, obviously it's a situation where everyone would benefit from that. So sometimes I was a mediator in a file recently where they just could not tolerate each other, but they were both told, don't move out until you have an agreement. So it created a really terrible situation. So we organized a very, very, very temporary, it was like 2 weeks at a time, where on Tuesday, this one was there, the other one would come at 9 p.m. But literally, like day by day, we built a little plan to get them used to exiting a little bit when the other person was the primary parent. So there are ways, even in very difficult situations. Family business. Obviously, you've probably known family members or situations where a divorce has caused irreparable harm to the business. Someone family-related is depleted emotionally and don't have the same energy to run the business, or the in-law does things out of spite. If the planning is not done adequately, the planning of the exit of one person or the transition from a family unit to not a family unit has to be well done. I mean, I know I'm saying things that seem obvious, but I'm saying these things because sometimes we don't think about it, and we try to be too aggressive too early on in the process, when all we do is we create worse situations for ourselves. So moderation and really taking a step back and seeing what's possible for these two individuals is really going to create better results for everybody. Finances. Keep things as they were before the separation. The worst thing that people do, and I looked up on the internet and it's all over the advice, please, the advice is take the money out of the bank account, stop the credit cards, max out the lines of credits. Why would you do that? It's terrible. It's terrible. It's not going to help you. What do you think is going to happen if you do that? The other person is going to get the most aggressive lawyer that money can buy, and you're going to pay for it. And what you tried to save in money, you're going to have to spend it on lawyers. So if it's possible to keep the status quo, keep the status quo. Empower both spouses to know their financial situation. So the other thing that makes people really nervous and that make them go to that most aggressive lawyer is when they're not aware of what's going on financially, and they're nervous. They're nervous that they're going to get taken advantage of, or they are nervous that the other person is doing things in the background to put money in other places that's going to be hard to see. So if it's possible, try to get everyone the financial information that they need as early on as possible in the process. And of course, my favorite files are the ones where someone comes in and says, we talked about it, we think this is how it's going to go, this person's going to keep the house, this one is going to have access to the cottage, whatever. And together they formed a vision of where this is going to go. It doesn't mean that the end result will be the same, because sometimes they haven't thought of all of the different angles, but at least the lawyers can be guided by the clients and not the other way around. Health, life insurance, powers of attorneys, wills. This is a very complicated issue, very complicated in your realm, where there's generations worth of thinking about what to do with the continuity, with the estate, with the family wealth. So the best practice, of course, is that we're not going to rush to keep people out of the life insurance and health insurance. Why would you? In the worst cases, sometimes we advise people to do it, but most cases don't start out to be the worst cases. Separation agreements also would have usually a clause asking people to maintain life insurance, and with respect to health insurance, usually you try to keep it as long as the plan would allow for the other spouse and for the children. So don't rush to do this, because you're going to have to reposition the ex-spouse as a beneficiary anyways. And then consult with an estate lawyer, obviously, to devise a new plan based on the new circumstances. Now, what about powers of attorney? Powers of attorney, especially the one for personal care, where you can pull the plug on someone, That's a little bit more complicated, so I won't weigh in on that one, but at some point you'll change that one for sure. New partners. What's the best practice? Keep them away. They're going to mess things up. Yeah, they'll wait. Don't bring them in the equation. Okay, my favorite one is this one. People come in. They're very knowledgeable, they're type A's, they're linear thinking, they got it all figured out, and they want to tell their spouse, this is going to work. Listen to me, this is fair, this is going to work. And the other spouse goes and gets 5 lawyers and 12 accountants because they don't trust you. There's no trust at this time, especially if a person has not been aware of the financial situation. So the worst thing that those really well-intentioned type A people can do is to try to be nice and fair and communicate that information early on in the process. It's counterintuitive, but it doesn't work. People the receiving spouse is not disposed to trusting the information. It probably feels bad that they don't really have a clue what you're talking about in the first place. They need their support system. They need their lawyers, their accountants to look at the situation before they can even comprehend what you're talking about. So just wait for the best moment, and it's usually when they've consulted with a lawyer. And again, if it's possible, try together to work out a situation. It's not impossible. I have a case where the husband and wife hired the lawyers for a very, very little part of their file, which was to draft the separation agreement, because they had figured it all out. They had a business. They were able to sever branches of the business where the husband was going to run this branch and the wife was going to run that branch. It was fabulous, but they worked cooperatively, they developed a vision, and they worked together, and everyone, including the business, obviously will benefit from this. Go to a lawyer. So it seems obvious that it's really important to go to a lawyer when you're separating. Some people hesitate because it's hard to confirm that you need a family law lawyer. Some people don't want to admit to themselves or their family members that they are separating. It's very, very difficult. However, what happens is you have your cheerleader group in the background that give you really bad information, and it riles you up, and you have all these thoughts in your head. And then you start making decisions based on truly false information. So the sooner you can get answers to your questions, the better. So don't delay. And go to a cooperative lawyer. There's lawyers out there that are fabulous, but they won't give you the choice of going into a collaborative negotiation because it would mean they would lose a client. So make sure you go to more than one person initially to see who you have a better fit with. Second part of the presentation is choice of separation. Sorry, one more. Collaborative law or mediation are my favorite tools. Okay, top 5 risks to a family business if the marital dispute is not contained. I'm sure you've seen this, and I'm just repeating what you already know. 3-circle model. You all know this. Someone in your family divorcing is going to have ripple effect in all of the areas that you're connected to. The owners of the business, the people that are within your family, your in-laws, your kids, and the business, the employees, the shareholders, the people, the suppliers, everybody is affected by this kind of thing. So you need to be taking a step back and trying to do this in a way that would be better for the whole system. Number 1. The legal system is designed to pull people apart, even the best-intentioned ones. Beware, relationships can easily go downhill to a point of no return. And this is hard to conceptualize because people start out with good intentions, but the system is there to polarize people. You always have to make a decision that will be contrary for another person. It's terrible. So beware, and if you're the advisors or the family support, understand that don't rile them up and make them more angry because it's going to have ripple effects. Kids. So kids don't have the same resilience that adults do. They don't have coping skills. They don't have life experience. Whatever was traumatizing to the adults is even worse for the children. horrible statistics on the impact of divorce on children. They don't do as well in school. They have a more likelihood of having mental unwellness. They have a more likelihood of getting divorced themselves. So we're not doing really good with our children in this arena. So one of the risks is if the relationship is too acrimonious, it's going to have negative consequences on your family for a very long time. So increased loss of productivity, it speaks for itself. So family business can be hurt if someone is not properly taking care of the company. I had a case where the husband and wife were working together in the husband's company, but the wife had a very prominent role in employee relations and customer relations, and he was more in the sales. And after the separation, she was totally mad at him. She left. Well, who was going to be running the show, right? He was doing sales. So the sales went completely down for the next 2 years because he couldn't do everything. She had acquired such knowledge and intimate connections with the staff and the suppliers that she was essential. But she couldn't care less. It was his business, so she left because she was not happy with the way she was being treated. So there's real risks if we're too aggressive and we don't take care of the people when they're separating. Don't go to court. Public records, all of your financial affairs, all of your trade secrets, your bank accounts, how much money you're keeping in the company for future expansions, all of that is public record. If it's only that reason to keep it out of court, then that's great. But also it prolongs the fight. It's more adversarial. It should really be the mode of last resort. Sometimes it's required, but hopefully you can avoid it. With family law's insurance policy to safeguard the family enterprise against marital breakdown. Create a vision for your divorce. It's like a business plan. You wouldn't go into an expansion without a business plan. So this is a new chapter in your life. So make sure you have a vision. I had a new caller yesterday calling for my services, and he said, I already know, the wife has already retained a really aggressive lawyer. He said, I know what I want to do. I want to always take the high road. He said, will you please help me in my decisions along the way to always take the high road? I said, that for me, it's the ideal client. Make a promise to each other. This is a really high evolved communication. Not everyone can do that, but it's best practice to each other. We're not good together, but we're not going to destroy each other during the divorce. Get a collaborative lawyer. Get a great social worker. This is a repetition of some of the other elements. Don't do it alone. Train yourself heavily now, not in the future. Surround yourself by positive influences. Barricade yourself from negative influences. The cheerleaders and your friends and family members sometimes are really hurtful, so be careful. Limit consumption of self-medication and keep the 3 circles in perspective. What? Yes. And then just remember that if you're the advisor or a family member and you're advising someone to be really aggressive, it will have negative consequences for the whole system. Good luck.